Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another webinar here on the Societies of Photographers page and our members group. It's fantastic to be back with another in the series from Sony. So we're joined tonight by Steven Neeson, who's an associate qualified member with us. And again, we're back with Mark Baber from Sony. Hello, guys. Thanks for joining us again.
Hi.
Hello. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the webinar, Stephen. It's great to have you on board. You were on our roadshows last year. You did Dublin and the Denardry roadshows with us, and it was fantastic. And I know we got a lot of positive feedback, so it's great to be able to get the presentation that you did last year online and available to all our members. So it's fantastic to have you on the series tonight.
No problem. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed the ones last year, the road shows. So it got me away from Belfast for a day. It got me down in Dublin. It was hear the other type of Irish for a while. And then, Denardry is actually 10 minutes from my house, even less, maybe 5 minutes from my house. So it's all good. Bring them there anytime.
You know, it's like the famous photographic hotel there, isn't it? We all seem to use it. It's a fantastic venue, it really is. So we've used it for many years, and always enjoyed going back there. To be fair, and you've been a member with us for, I think, going on 10 years now. So you've been a long-standing active member, and as I said, you got your associate qualification with us. So using all those kind of like those stepping stones to build up your photography, and obviously then let your clients know that you've qualified with a professional body and all that kind of stuff as well. Yeah,
absolutely. So it's something like the associateship was something I put off for quite a while, and I done it at the start of this year. Actually, I meant to do it about 3 or 4 years ago, and just never really got around to it. So I'm really glad I did. And it's spurred me on now. I really want to go to. I want to do the fellowship over the next year or maybe a couple of years. So yeah, looking forward for that.
Fantastic. Well, that's something to aim for in the next couple of year or a couple of months, as you say. So fantastic. And to Mark, thanks again for joining us tonight, Mark. You've become a regular fixture now on these webinars. You've been back and forth with them. So it's great to get you back here again.
No, thank you. It's a pleasure, and great to be working with Stephen again. You're absolutely right. It's lots of virtual webinars and one-to-one sessions going on. So and whilst things are still changing slowly, this will continue. So I hope we can get our heads together now in the next few weeks and look towards maybe August and September as well with some new activities. But of course, we've got another webinar coming up at the end of the month as well with Terry Donnelly. So looking forward to Stephen's talk this evening. So thanks for the opportunity again, Colin.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. I think what we'll do is we will head straight into the presentation now. So if anybody watching has got Q&A along while the webinar's going, then please put them in the comments, and we will ask them to either Stephen if you've got any questions on the presentation, or again, if you've got any technical questions on the Sony range of cameras and lenses, then please let us know, and I will pitch them at Mark towards the end of the webinar. So if you're happy, Stephen, if you want to grab up your presentation, and I will get that live on the feed now.
Yes, no problem at all.
Brilliant.
I think that should be at 9.
That is you there. So what we're going to do is me and Mark are going to drop off the webinar for now, and we will be in the background. So it's over to you now, Stephen. So thank you very much, and we're looking forward to hearing the presentation.
No problem. Thank you very much. Thank you, Colin and Mark. So yes, hello everybody. It's good to be back on ASWPP. I'm working again with Sony. I've done, as Colin mentioned, I've done a few of the road shows, which I've really enjoyed, and I've done a few webinar or workshop type things with Sony as well, and particularly working with Mark. So thank you for having me again. As you know, I am a wedding photographer. I am currently mostly working around Northern Ireland. I do some work in the south of Ireland as well. But I would say like 95% of my work has been and will continue to be in this small country of ours here in Northern Ireland. So I'm not sure if there's anybody, any local ones on tonight, or where you're all from, but weddings here are fairly similar, I believe, to weddings over different parts of the UK and of course in Southern Ireland as well. So we're all in the same boat, so to speak. This is going to be a chat just all about my wedding photography and my approach to it. I want to give you some information really that I've built up over the years. I've been a wedding photographer full time since 2012. What's that? 8 years now. I'd done weddings for a wee bit of time before that while I was studying at university. But yeah, I've been full time weddings for 8 years now, and it's been a total roller coaster in a sense. But I suppose that this has been the strangest year yet, as it has for everybody in any in personal life and business as well. Obviously, with weddings being moved to next year and cancelled and different things, it's very, very strange for us. But we're looking forward to getting back on track soon with some weddings happening. So I'm just going to jump right into the presentation. Really, I'll give you a wee bit of insight into me. I was a coach builder. Believe it or not, I built buses for many years before I became a photographer. I think it was around 2008. I said to myself, I don't really want to be in this job forever. I was stuck between four walls, so to speak, and decided I would get myself a hobby. And that hobby, of course, was photography. So I spent a couple of years teaching myself different techniques and trying to use light and different things. Ended up going to university for 3 years. I actually moved over to England, lived in Ipswich for a couple of years, and done a degree. I think I was 27 or 28 whenever I done that. I didn't have any, commitments. I wasn't married or anything, so I just packed up and left over to England and studied. And obviously, I don't need a degree to be a wedding photographer. I didn't plan to be a wedding photographer. In a sense, it just happened. I actually wanted to be a fashion photographer, and that was part of the reason for me going to university in England. I didn't really believe that there was much of a fashion industry over here, and I thought I would move over to near London and try and do that there. In 2011, I got married, met my wife. We got married quite quickly, so it was after that I really fell into doing weddings. I really I needed money, I suppose. I had no income really, so I decided to do a couple of weddings, and it just that's when the story began. I got very busy quite quickly, so I was shooting. It took me 3 years to get built up to 70 weddings a year, and I've been shooting fairly consistently since that. I dropped my numbers for a couple of years there. I basically put my prices up and shot less. And to be honest, I didn't really feel that was me. I have switched it back again, and I just prefer to be busy. I prefer the weddings that I had at a slightly lower cost. When I say a lower cost, it's a few £100 we're talking about here. I just preferred the way I used to work. So I'm back shooting lots of weddings in the year. I need sort of about 60 weddings roughly for me, between 50 and 60 weddings for me to be happy. I know for some people that might sound like torture, but for me, that's where I want to be. So I jumped in at the deep end, which is something that I know most people would not recommend. I didn't shadow anybody. I wasn't a second shooter. I literally just jumped into weddings and started doing them. And I think I was fairly lucky that I didn't make any bad mistakes. I wouldn't recommend people doing that, but I didn't have any problems or any disasters, so to speak. But it took me quite a while, I would say, to learn different techniques, but more importantly, to build confidence into a competent wedding photographer. And it's maybe since about 2015 or 2016 that I really feel competent in what I do, and I don't have any worries as such going out as a wedding photographer. So I have a fairly small camera bag, so to speak. I used to, carry a case with wheels on it, and over the years, I've learned to keep my equipment close to me at all times. But I've obviously tried to make that lighter over the last while. I have been shooting with Sony, and this is the gear that I use. By the way, the lenses here change. So my main camera is a Sony A9. That is in my hand, I would say 90% of a wedding day. And to me, it's the best camera I've ever owned. I have no desire to change it right now because it's just so good. It's for me, it's the closest to what a perfect wedding photographer's camera would be. And I do most of my shooting with that. The other camera I have is A7R3, and I use that for more for the portraits that I take on a wedding day that I think might want to, the client might want to enlarge big on a wall. So yeah, Sony A9 is my main camera. For about 2 years there, I had a 20-40-70 put a strap to that camera, and that is literally all I shot with, apart from wide angle here and there. But for the past since Christmas, really, I decided to change up and go back to primes again, and I bought three more prime lenses: the 35 1.8, 55 1.8, and the 85 1.8. So I've been shooting the last. Well, I've only done a few weddings this year, sadly, but the 4 or 5 weddings that I did shoot between January and March were all shot with these 3 lenses, and I've just got that love back again. And as I mentioned before, my camera bag is so light. I'll get into that a wee bit more very soon. So in terms, I'm going to share a wee bit here about my approach to wedding photography, how I communicate with my clients, especially on the wedding day, what they're expecting from me, how I try and keep my job as easy for myself as possible, and how to get the best pictures. And this all starts in my eyes and this is something that I had to learn, and I suppose learn the hard way, that my purpose as a wedding photographer is not for me to get amazing photographs, is not for me to get my head all bumped up about how good the photographs are, whatever. My main purpose as a wedding photographer is to serve my clients. I look at myself as a servant to them. I am trying to get them the best pictures for their memories, for their walls, for their album, and it's in my best interest to do an amazing job for them first and foremost. And the reality of it is that I get, I do get nice pictures and that, but they are all for my clients. At the beginning, it wasn't really like that. I think we all, maybe not all of us, but I certainly let my head run away with things a wee bit, and trying to get this amazing shot all the time. And in doing so, you end up forgetting about the real purpose of the yourself as a wedding photographer, of getting lots of really good shots rather than just 4 or 5 or 10 or 20 good portraits. So I base everything I do on this. I am there to serve them, my customers, and it's my job to tell their story through my eyes. It's my job to yes, I shoot in my style, but it's also my job to photograph as much for them from their wedding day, for their memories. So right from the very start, I'll say this first of all. I try and keep my time spent before, during, and after a wedding as low as possible. And it's not because I'm lazy and I can't be bothered working. It's because for me, I have learned that time is money, and I am confident in what I do, and I want to be able to do it in as less time as I can. So from the very beginning with my clients, I am very much vocal to them on what they should be expecting from me, and I also let them know that if they have anything they need to tell me, or that it's about communication, and that we go through everything, and there's no big surprises. Now, I start off my communication normally by email. I sell to my clients first of all. Whenever they're booking me, that's whenever I do my selling. I don't really sell so much afterwards, apart from a bit of wall art. So I set all expectations at the beginning from what they expect from me, but also they will know what they're paying. And I believe, you know, and this is just me, that's just how I work. I believe in, you know, being totally upfront about the cost with them, so that afterwards they're not, you know, jaw to the floor about, oh, like, you know, your prices are too high. At least they know what they're getting into. And for me, the best thing in weddings is for marketing and weddings is really to get people to talk about you, and this is one of the ways that I do that. I have learned over the years to, if a client asks me to do something that I'm not comfortable with, it's something, it used to be I would have just tried to do it, and it usually ends up coming into problems. I have learned over the years to talk with them and give them reasons why I might not do that. And, you know, it's usually whenever a client comes to me and they've said, you know, can you do, I don't like, for example, can you come while we're eating dinner? Can you go around all the tables and photograph, you know, portrait of everybody? And that's something I don't do. And, you know, if I explain that, yes, some people have asked me to do that before, but the reality is your guests don't really want to be getting their picture taken whenever they're chewing their food, then they normally say, all right, okay, that's fair enough. Whereas it used to be, I would have just said, okay, well, I'll not get a break. I'll just go and try and photograph them, and then it ends up in a bit of a nightmare. So that's just one example. I just try and be as upfront with them and set the expectations and tell them where I will be on the wedding day at what time. I go through my workflow with them. Right from bridal preparations in the morning, I will tell them exactly what I'll be doing in the house, what I'll be doing at the church or the ceremony location, right down to the very detail. I you know, tell them, for example, whenever the bride arrives at the church, that I will be waiting there. I will be outside with her until a certain point, until I go in. I go through every wee detail just so that they know exactly where I'll be, and they'll not be you know, running around looking for me if I have a job to do somewhere else. But, you know, this is all, the purpose of all this is just to get my clients in tune with what I'm doing and setting the expectations, because I just feel it's very important to go through everything with them and make sure that they're not, you know, expecting something completely different. And, you know, in doing so, I believe it helps them. And the simple reason is that they feel confident that I know what I'm doing. They feel confident in me because I go through everything with them. So the next thing I want to talk about really is, you know, you hear this a lot, people saying, you know, get your style sorted. And if I'm completely honest with you, it probably took me 4 years to find my style of photography. Yes, there was small increments of that style coming throughout those 4 years, but it really took me, I think, until somebody said to me one day, you know, I seen a photograph online and I knew it was yours. Then I realized that I did have a style. It's something, you know, I see other photographers and they're maybe new to the industry. They might have, you know, a couple of years or maybe in their first year, and I can see they have a very clear style. That wasn't the case with me. I just basically shot loads of weddings and built up confidence as time went on. And excuse me, my style, I've always described as being cinematic. I use a lot of, you know, off-camera flash and different things to try and change, you know, set the scene and get dramatic looking photographs. But this is really what I show online. I would say 90% of my work is all documentary. I don't show a lot of that online. To be honest, I've started doing that a wee bit more lately. But online, I really use my style to market myself, and I find that really works. I mostly show these type of shots on my Instagram and Facebook, and us as wedding photographers, we really have it in the bag, because we've got any amount of photographs to share online and keep our social channels going. And even over the last number of months, I've just realized how many photographs I actually have. And I could be sharing 20 of them a day if I really wanted to. Obviously, I don't, but we've got it all there. So I have built a style up over the years of using off-camera flash. I'm at the stage now where I can't not use it on a wedding day because people would be really looking for those type of shots. So, which is a wee bit annoying at times because it takes a lot of effort to be using flash. It really does. Sometimes I feel like, not using it, and it'd just be so much easier just shooting at 1.8 all the time. But I've just this is what I do. I use the off-camera flash, and at the end of the day, it separates the people who do something different. It separates you in a market, and a market which is really quite saturated. In terms of a wedding day, I have three. I need to simplify things in my own head, and I have three main approaches really in a wedding day. The first one is details, then moments, which is like documentary style, and then the portraits. That is really the three things that I'm capturing on the day. And whenever I say details, I mean anything that a client has spent money on, I try and photograph that. I know there's photographers out there that won't think like that, but I just feel that I'm the person with the camera, and I'm the person that can provide a bride or a groom with a memory of that thing that they spent money on. So I go through everything on the wedding day, from the bridal preparations, going through shoes and perfume and rings and earrings, different things, right through to things they find in the church that they have set out, things in the venue and on the tables, or flowers or anything. I basically take me moments throughout the day to photograph everything that I can, because they may have spent, I don't know what, £1,000, £2,000 on flowers, and they're probably dead 24 hours after the wedding. So at least if I spend the time and go around photographing these things, and the cake as well, that's another example, at least I'll have photographs afterwards. So as I mentioned before, 90% of my work is documentary work. It's an approach I really actually enjoy. It's the way I started off shooting, and I'll always do that sort of documentary style. As I said before, I just don't really show much of it online. But my main focus on a wedding day really is capturing moments. Even whenever I'm posing people, I'm waiting on things happening in between. So like 90% of the time, I'm running around just looking for wee things, weaving in and out of people, trying to capture different moments and different things happening. And the way I've described it to anybody is that just never take your eye off the ball. It's so easy to drop the camera down by your side and get a wee bit lazy and wait on things happening. But the reality is, you need your camera at your eye all the time. You need to be busy. You need to be shooting, focusing on different people, going from the groom to the bride or whatever, one family member to the next. For me, it's about being super busy and photographing as many people and watching the situation around me. And that documentary style is really helped by the camera that I use right now. I've used many different cameras over the years, and the function that I would say I use most is changing the focus spot around the frame. And it's very important that I can do that really fast, because I do move so fast. And again, with the A9 being probably primarily a sports camera, I feel it's just as an amazing camera. I feel so good in my hand, and I'm able to shoot really fast. I don't even think about ISOs anymore. I just shoot no matter what it is. And I've had people say to me before, how can you shoot at that high in ISO? And my response is, well, do you know, I've never had a client come to me and said that picture's a bit noisy. You know, so that tells me that they actually don't know or they don't care. So my motto was just keep shooting. So yeah, I'm just constantly looking for different angles. There's you could just shoot as a father bringing his daughter down the aisle. It's easy just to get lazy and point the camera, but for me, it's about moving, weaving in and out of people, shooting through people's legs, shooting through their hands, going down, shooting from low or up high. You know, so for me, it's about moving about as much as I can. Obviously, standing at the front of a church, you can't move too much, or the priest or the minister wouldn't be very happy with you. So I try and do it as discreetly as possible. So the other thing is, sometimes you'll know yourself, if you shoot weddings, whenever a client comes to you, the first thing they always say to me is, we don't like getting our picture taken. We love your style of photography because you don't pose, and different questions like that. And whenever I tell them, you know, actually I do pose quite a lot. You know, it's I call it more directing. Sometimes I used to be, I think at the beginning, I feared saying that to them, but now I can say it with confidence that, you know, the posing or the directing is easy. There's no stress involved. In fact, I can safely say nearly every couple I photographed would say to me, that was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, and thank you for putting us at ease. So there's certain times I will set a moment up. For example, a bride coming out of the wedding car before her ceremony. Rarely will you see her sit forward and smile at her father. It's normally not the nicest of, you know, they're shuffling out and trying to get the dress out in the flowers. So whenever the father gets out of the car, I will say to the bride, can you sit forward and make sure and look out and smile at your dad as he opens the door. And I also say to the car driver, would you mind if I get the father of the bride to open the door rather than you? It's just for photography. Because if you leave it up to them, quite often they ruin the shot. They're stuck in the middle of everything. And yeah, so I just prompt these wee moments at times by saying things like that. So don't be scared to create wee moments. This was the exact same thing, only the father of the bride was walking around. I seen the reflection, and I asked him just to stop a wee second, and they just smiled at each other, and that was that. All this is done very quickly. So obviously this is a posed picture, but I'm showing you this just so that you can, whenever you're taking portraits, always be ready. Always be ready to take the picture no matter what. This is me doing. I'm at the end of a graveyard, taking a picture of a bride and groom. She really wanted a picture here. It was quite windy. I had my flash set up. I took a couple of pictures, and then the next thing, the veil flies up. You know, if the veil goes up, there is a slight chance it's going to come off. It used to be I would have, stopped it before it did come off, but that's a good photograph opportunity. You need to be very quick, and again, it's very, very important that you're confident with your camera. So if the veil or something does come off, you can, hit the shutter just as fast as you can, just as I've done there. And like if you can catch something like this is the photograph that they're going to use rather than the one that's nicely styled and posed. So yes, are posing and directing, but always look for those wee in-between moments or those things that happen quite naturally. And that was the same wedding, just walking back into the car through the graveyard. So rather than just walking along and chatting, I'm trying to photograph at all times as well. This photograph it's not something I've shared much online. It's just I'm showing you this just so that you need to be ready on a wedding day for anything. This wedding, just before the ceremony happened, about 15 minutes before the ceremony was supposed to happen, the minister fell down the stairs at the back of the church and broke his leg. So the wedding ended up about an hour and a half late. The bride was in tears and freaking out and panicking and shaking. And it's our job, not only to be a photographer, but many times we have to try and calm people down and lead a situation. And that word lead, we really do have to become leaders. I know people like to be a fly on the wall and different things, but I think bride and grooms and even parents and bridal party, they really look to us for direction at times, and it's very important that we're able to step in and do like lead people and advise them in their wedding day and be there again as being sort of servants to them and helping them throughout the day. And I know this lady really appreciated me sort of taking the time to help out on the day. But also I lifted my camera to take a shot, and one of the doctors told me off quite firmly. And I went back. I actually mentioned it to the bride, and I said, I am taking pictures here for the simple reason is your wedding's an hour and a half late. I do understand demands and pain and different things, but I believe you'll want to see these afterwards, and maybe even the minister will. And she said, I'm happy that you're doing that. Fire away. So, and I ended up getting some different shots. That's the bride and her father speaking in the back of the ambulance with the minister just before he gets taken off. We were still waiting on a replacement minister coming. It was actually quite difficult for that to happen because most of the local ones were away on holidays. So always be on your guard, especially for those moments. You can't keep your camera at your side and be lazy. For me, the main thing is just shooting as much as possible. And I'm just being honest here. Sometimes, I'm not a very in-your-face person. I suppose fear would stop me from shooting at times. And in this particular wedding, I know there was a funeral straight after the service, and I chose not to say into the bride. She knew the coffin, or sorry, she didn't know the coffin was actually at the front of the church during her ceremony, and it wasn't until afterwards she realized. And we were outside literally doing the handshakes on the way out whenever the guests for the funeral were on their way in, and it was a very weird situation. The father of the bride said to her, you always wanted a picture on the altar, just go and do it. And because there was guests for the funeral already in the front rows all dressed in black, I really I didn't even pose the couple properly. I just got them up on there, flapped the dress up and went to take a picture. And the next thing I seen was the priest and the other caretaker man, whatever you call him, wheeling the coffin out. And if I was on my game, I should I believe I could have got a very good photograph there, but I chose kind of more respect, and I actually didn't know I caught the coffin in the side of the frame until I got home. But it was really fear that stopped me from doing that, from pursuing a different type of picture. And I actually regret it now, because that if we're like that, then it's in these moments you get the best pictures. And I regret not stepping to the side and doing something here different. But that's just kind of a by the way, and it's something that I'm trying to teach myself, is to change and be more fearless in my photography. But that's an ongoing process. So in terms of on a wedding day, in terms of the portraits after the ceremony, so basically I shoot as natural as possible from start to finish, but I do stop people at certain moments and get a posed photograph. And then the portraits in the afternoon, that's something I'm quite strict with the families or with the couple, and say the only demand that I have on a wedding day is when I'm shooting the two of you, is that I have you on your own. And I go through everything with them, and I tell them, once we get to the location, I want to shoot your bridal party first. And the simple reason is that it only takes about 10 minutes for me to run through a number of poses with them, and then I would ask that they leave, that they go to the reception or go on in and enjoy themselves, so that I can have about 30 minutes or 20 minutes with the two of them and get some portraits. And it's during this time A random picture just threw in there. It's during this time that I pose them, go through different walking shots and things, and really get the best out of the two of them. And as I said, it's the only demand I really have is getting them on their own, because if you try and photograph people with some of their family members or even the bridal party watching, you're not going to get the best from them. So you're not. So I really try and get them off. It's not that I try and get them off. I really do. I won't shoot with people watching, and it's better for them to get 15, 20 minutes peace away from people. And it's then that I really try and be creative. I go through a wee bit of flow posing with the two of them, get the shots, the normal shots out of the way first, and then I always try something different like this, using shadows or different things. The bulk of my posing is really walking and having fun with each other. The reason I always do my family photographs after this, and the simple reason is, if you do your family pictures before you do the couple shots, then I always say to a bride or groom, if there's anything that's going to annoy you on the day, it will probably be family shots. The reason being is people, if you go to do your family pictures and half your brothers or sisters are away checking into the hotel, that's going to annoy you and get you wound up. So if you're wound up doing your family shots, and then I try and get the best out of you doing couple shots after that, it doesn't really work. So I always leave the family ones to the end, even though they're very, very important. They're more, for me, they're more about lining people up and shooting rather than being very creative. So all the creative stuff is done first. And I just do a number of different poses with brides or grooms throughout the day. I don't necessarily look for the nicest of places all the time. I look for light over location and try and use it to the best of my advantage. I'm always doing natural shots with them and setting things up and trying to get different angles and just generally nice shots for them. When I mentioned a second ago, for me it's about creating in a flow. Not taking one photograph and then walking away. Will always change my angle, change the angle and change the pose, just so it looks different, and just run through a few different shots and get the best out of them. If you put a couple in one spot and photograph around them for any longer than 30 seconds, to me you're just annoying them, and I just like to keep them moving and not standing in the one spot for too long, and just moving about and getting different poses. For me, learn 3 or 4 poses and stick with them. You don't need to be, overthinking things. It's probably the worst thing you can do. And just try and be natural with them. If the wind's blowing, just let it blow. Just go with the flow and get some lovely shots. But just change things up a wee bit. I normally get them walking quite a lot. I'll do a few shots with natural light and with the off-camera flash as well, and just sort of change things up a wee bit. But the main thing is that they're having fun with each other. I try my best and get them interacting, smacking off each other. If you just tell people to laugh at each other, look at each other and smile, there's only so much you can do that and keep things natural. So for me, I have a wee bit of fun, get them. By the way, I really can't be doing cheesy things as well, so there's a limit for me on what I can really get them to do, and I find the couples I shoot are very like that. That's just me getting them to smack bums off each other while they're walking along, and they normally have really good fun while they're doing it. Again, I put this couple into a pose, and then I've told many people many times I'm definitely not a funny person, but whenever you do something, get them laughing, make sure you're there ready with the camera. I used to set shots up, get them laughing, and then laugh with them and miss the shot, and that's definitely not the thing to do. So yeah, just always think of what you're about to do next. If you're photographing them up close, move around and photograph them from the side, change things up a bit, and yeah, that's what it's all about. So I see so much where people take lovely photographs and don't finish their photographs well enough. For me, camera technology is just so amazing. I actually remember saying to Mark, I don't know how much better Sony's can get, because for me it's just everything I need in a camera is right there now. I can get so much detail out of shots That's just simple Lightroom editing. I actually edit in Capture One now, but this was Lightroom whenever I was doing it. And you can see with my editing, this is just like I'll make up a preset and use it. And you can see bringing out the detail, just with a few simple editing techniques. There's nothing, I haven't time to Photoshop every image. So for me, again, it's all down to time. I spend 3 hours editing a wedding. That has to be done really quickly. So if you get it right in camera, if you use a camera that you can get like the detail out of the shadows like this and Sony's, then it just makes things so good. What I tend to do is drag a lot of details out of the shadows, bring the highlights down, and then use the exposure to go up and down and get everything set properly. This is in a really dark room, a lovely venue here in Northern Ireland. I think this is shot at 10,000 ISO. I didn't expect this to happen. The groom just bent the bride over and gave her a big kiss at the end, and I shot it. I had my camera, I was walking away, and I just turned around and shot it really fast. You can see just with that's 3200 ISO, and you can see up close the detail there, just how great it is. This photograph here, I took this one day at one evening. I don't know what I done wrong, but I got home and I had about 10 photographs. I just don't know what I was doing. We all make mistakes. I certainly make mistakes all the time. I got home from this wedding and realized that some of these photographs were just like nearly beyond what I thought I could bring back. And this was shot with the A7R3, and I think I had to bring it up 5 stops, and you can see the quality there, still there. It's unbelievable. Obviously, you don't want to be using that practice all the time, but if you do make a mistake, you can use it there. And as I said before, I make plenty of them. You can see the detail being brought out. 4 or 5 years ago, you'd never done this. It's just great that we're able to do it. So one other thing I want to talk about just before we take some questions from you is it's my intention on a wedding day. As I said, I put everything up front with the album, and they know how many, mostly they'll know how many pages they're getting their album, and I will really push the sale beforehand, and I'll tell them the reason why they should take a package rather than trying to go cheap and then sell really hard afterwards. The one thing I do sell would be print frames and things, and afterwards. So it's my intention to take a few photographs on the wedding day that I know that they might want to put quite big on their walls, and I'll usually send them a preview of what I think would work at times, but it's up to me to get really nice photographs of them. And even though before the wedding they don't want posed photographs, I find that these posy ones they normally end up putting on their walls. This shot was taken in a really dark hotel, just with a wee bit of an LED light and using the A9, and it's just great what you can do with little effort. These are all, like, obviously these are the ones that would sort of define my style the most. But even though I'm taking my time here to get a really nice shot, it's really for them to use, and it's like nice for them to be able to put this sort of stuff up on their walls. So I'm always looking for where light is, using different effects. Like, obviously it's raining here. It would be one thing to just sit in a huff in the hotel and say, I wish it was a nice day. Whereas I say to people, if it rains, listen, I know you might not be happy. I'm fully happy. I'll stand in the rain all day and get soaked. I don't care. But also I can use a wee bit of flash or a light and do something different. And it's something you can take home. And it's something a wee bit different you can use. So again, it's using your confidence with couples and showing them that you can actually shoot inside or outside. And the reality is that I prefer to shoot inside. And I love shooting in the dark as well. It's just, it's just away from the normal. I love winter weddings. Winter weddings are probably my favorite. And so there you go. I'm always like looking for symmetry in the shots. And again, it's all for the client. trying to do something. This was a really wet day, actually. I always try and do something with shadows. Thing is, if you post this type of stuff on your page, then you will get people asking you for it. So I always try and do something a wee bit different. But I was doing a picture with the whole bridal party here, and then decided to do something just for the bride and groom and these guys. And they really got shy with each other, and of course that made the shot. So these are my sort of I call these my signature shots with the client, and the reason I call them that with them is they will know that this is the type of stuff that I shoot and that I would like them to want on their walls. You know, so it's all a similar type. I'm really shooting with the intentions of getting things right in camera. I underexpose slightly, and you know, I shoot quite a lot with I shoot quite a lot in aperture priority. I know there's lots of people out there would be disgusted with me whenever I say I shoot in aperture priority and shutter priority quite a lot. You know, I obviously can shoot in manual mode. I shoot manual mode when I'm inside mostly, but I shoot aperture priority when I'm shooting documentary style most of the time, and I use shutter priority when I'm using flash a lot. And you know, me using camera, like whenever I switch to Sony, I really can't say that I know it's not all about cameras, but I got like a love for shooting back again. And you know, that was 2.5 years ago, and I still feel like that the quality is just unbelievable. Every time I put a photograph on my screen, I'm still amazed. You know, and I just love the raw files that come out of the camera. And as I mentioned before, like I have a small camera bag. It's just a wee shoulder bag. I've got 2 bodies in it, and I usually keep 3 lenses in it as well. And that's the 35, 55, and 85. That's all I need in the wedding day. There's a couple of occasions, like in the ceremony, where I might pop the 20-40-70 in there as well, and I might bring a wide angle with me on the portraits just in case I need it. But for me, it's keeping that camera bag as light as possible. I don't use an assistant. I need everything just on me at all times and ready to use. So that's the end presentation part here. Colin, are you any questions for me or anything there?
Oh, a fantastic presentation tonight, Stephen. Really interesting to hear how you prepare for a wedding and your thoughts going through the wedding, and how you know, you kind of compose those images before they've even, you know, happened. Kind of, you know, like as you're saying about the, you know, the wedding car. You're looking for those kind of natural looking shots. You're just directing rather than posing, so you know where to stand and you're ready to take those pictures and of course get stunning results afterwards. So thank you very much for the presentation tonight. It's been really interesting. Before we jump to any Q&A, so you know, anybody watching, please use the comments and we will run through the Q&A in 2 minutes. But just before we jump onto that, I want to give a mention to Terry Donnelly, who's coming to do a webinar for us, and Sony with the Wiltshire Air Ambulance essay that he did. That's on Tuesday, the 28th of July at 7 p.m. So please mark it in your diary. It's going to be a fascinating. I've seen, you know, we've seen the images that Terry got from that kind of portfolio he did for them, and it would be a really interesting night to see again how his thought process behind taking those pictures and what went into that. So again, that's Tuesday, the 28th at 7 p.m. But again, just before we jump on to any Q&A, Mark, do you want to let us know about all the fantastic offers that you've got organised for us?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Colin. Stephen, thank you for your time. Absolutely superb presentation. And I'll take a few tips from that as well, although I'm no competition to you, mate, and the rest of the members of the society. Yes, so we're working with WEX on these particular webinars. So for those of you that are not aware of WEX Photo Video, I have a number of stores across the UK, including Northern Ireland, and we've done a huge amount of events with them, physical and now virtual as well. So as a reward to say thank you for staying with us, and for those that you who are watching once this is finished. WEX, if you register with the following website, and Colin will bring up the URL. There we go. Thank you, Colin. Yes, if you register your details with the website here, it is purely for sending you Sony offers direct to your email so that you can take advantage on top of any other offer that we're running in the UK and Ireland currently. So that leads me on to, so do that, because there's some really exclusive offers that if you're in the market for a new camera and it's Sony, please take advantage of these offers as well. On top of that is cashback. So we've only got a couple of weeks left now for cashback. The summer cashback runs out on the 31st of July. So that entitles you to even more money. So potentially you could be saving, hundreds of pounds against lenses and camera bodies. And there's also double cashback on certain models as well. So again, talk to WEX. They will trade in your kit if you're looking to upgrade or move across, whatever, and take advantage of that. And for those of you that have bought a product maybe from Sony in the UK and Ireland over the last 6 months, or you go and buy one, then make sure you register. And there's no catch in these. We are giving really good offers away. Register with this website here, and that will entitle you to an extra 1 year's warranty on whatever you've got for free. 30 quid's worth of warranty for free. Peace of mind. Do it if you haven't already, and that's within the last 6 months, and that will last until the end of January 2021. So lots of opportunities there to help look to switch to Sony, and no catches at all. They're pure offers unique to people that are watching this and will watch it afterwards as well. And there will be a timescale on the offer. So, good luck if you're looking for a new camera.
Brilliant. Thank you, Mark. Right, so to the Q&A. So I don't know who to pitch this one to, but we'll throw the question up. So Charlotte is asking, how waterproof is the A7 III? I have been worrying as it starts raining. Are they quite resistant, or would you use a cover?
Well, from a Sony perspective, I've got an A7 III here, actually. Most of our cameras, the latest cameras, are weather sealed along the lens mount, top, the side plates, bottom plates, but the sealing isn't as robust on the back plate. But that's why we don't say fully weather sealed, because it clearly isn't. It's weather resistant. So, and I think Steven will speak on behalf of his professional knowledge, but in my enthusiast world of photography, I haven't got a problem taking it out in the rain. Sometimes I've been caught out, and of course I try and cover it if that's the case. But rest assured, if you're not sure, then yes, you could buy a cover for it. And I know there's many third-party covers out there. But Steven, I mean, what's your experience from using it out in the the wet conditions?
I'm the same. Like I don't take shelter on a wedding day unless I really have to. But I'll stand in the rain to get a shot. I don't really worry so much. I do try and cover it if I have to. If the weather's really bad, I actually have it's like a rain cover for the wee shoulder bag that I have, and I usually just bring that out and scrumple it up in my hand, bring it over top of the camera, and use that. So, but like I've never had a problem. I've been drenched before, and I haven't had a problem with Sony. I have had a problem previously, with the camera getting water in it. It was actually one that was supposed to be fully weatherproof, but I try not to get it completely soaked at the end of the day. But hopefully there's no. Hopefully I don't ever have any issues with that.
I mean, I'll add to that, because you see a lot of camera manufacturers that do great adverts. When they're pouring water on cameras and they're shooting it with flames and ice, and and rightly so, because that's what you can do with them. You don't want to be doing that with our cameras, but they will be. I mean, we know out there that people are using it in extreme conditions without any problem at all. So rest assured that it's technology made for current climate and weather resistant. So yeah, good.
Perfect.
By the way,
go on.
By the way, I'm from Northern Ireland. It rains every day.
Yeah, very true. We've got Tom next. Tom's asking, what speed lights do you use, and what settings do you mostly use?
Speed light, I use the Phoenix. I can't remember the new name. Do you know what? I've used many brands over the years. At the minute, I think it's the Phoenix Juno I use. And in terms of settings, it's it changes. I generally, if I'm using shutter priority, I'll set it to 1/60th of a second, and whatever the ISO needs to be, and then the camera works out the aperture. I generally don't use high-speed sync anymore. I did years ago. I just keep things simple. Simple is the way forward in life. So, yeah, that's it.
Keep it simple. That's the message. I'm not 100% sure who was asking this one, but they missed what lens you use. What lenses do you use?
So at the minute, I use the three 35, 55, and 85 lenses. I would say the 35 is more or less, it's on the A9 nearly all the time. The 55, I find all these three lenses, by the way, and they are very, very affordable, and around £500 or £600 each. They are amazing lenses for the price. So I used the three of them. The 85, not so much, simply because just with a longer focal length, but I would use that in the ceremony and, of course, in the speeches. What I will say is I have, the Sonys are so customizable. I have each one of the custom buttons just, for different things. But the crop sensor feature, I use that during the ceremonies and also during the speeches. I can crop the sensor on it, touch the button, and that gets me. I don't know the exact how far, but 85. What would that take me up to? Maybe like 110 or 115 or something.
Yeah,
equivalent. So I don't use any longer lenses.
Yeah. Brilliant. Perfect. Here's a question for Mark. Barry is asking, are there any offers available in the Republic of Ireland?
Yeah, cashback is currently running until the end of July in Ireland as well. Obviously, Wex don't have a store in Ireland. So obviously we're doing this with Wex currently. But no doubt, I don't know where you shop, but there are a number of really good retailers obviously in Ireland that you could speak to. But if there is something that you're really interested in, then Colin, I'm quite happy for you to give my details over, and I can speak to the guys in Ireland, depending on where the customer wants to purchase from. So we're happy to do that. So yeah.
Perfect. I will do that straight away afterwards. This is a really interesting one. So Joe is asking, he says, thank you, Stephen, for a great talk. Where do you see the photographer in the pecking order of wedding suppliers, contractors, and how do you think the client ranks the photographer alongside other suppliers?
Okay, so largely, I don't know where you're from. Here in Northern Ireland, I would say we're quite traditional. I think most people would have us at the top, in the top three. In fact, I would say the top, not weirdly, but it's weird to me that the top three would be mostly the venue and then the photographer or the band. So I find the photographer and the band is what people would book next. And people, obviously for a lady, the dress is very important. But for me, I think photographers are quite high in that order as such. And people do really do value photography. I see that with people who come to me. I know there's a less expensive market which they don't really mind so much. I have another business, and that would be more in that category. And the customers, they want photographs. They might not just worry so much. But what I find is people who know a family member that have got married, and maybe have had complaints, which is quite often. I see them type of people coming. No, we want somebody who's experienced, all the rest of it, and they definitely want a good job done. So they would have us at the top of the list.
Brilliant, perfect. I think to Joe asking this particular question, if you think there's other suppliers in your area that you feel probably the bride and groom would consider first, then reach out to them, contact them, and see if you can work alongside them. And get in front of those potential bride and grooms a little bit quicker in the planning process. That's something that we really do advise. So if you've got a particular wedding shop in your area that brides tend to go to, and quite high up on that list, then do reach out to them and see if you can work with them in any ways and get your name to be one of the first photographers out there. We're going to take one last question, and it's off Lorraine. So Lorraine missed the start of this presentation, but please don't worry. You can watch this. Again, all our webinars are backed up. This one's on the Society of Photographers Facebook page. So, of course, you can view that right there in the video section. If you're watching via our members group, then you can use the units tab. And for members, we also back up all the webinars that we've done on the societies.net/webinars. So if you have missed the first bit and tuned in halfway through, then you can watch the replays by all means. But Lorraine is asking, how many hours do you spend actually working on the wedding day, and how long does it take you to edit a wedding?
Okay, so a wedding day for me, my average wedding day. I'll answer around this. My wedding day time used to be 26 hours in total for before the wedding, on the wedding, and editing completion. I have that down to 13. Wow. So an average wedding for me is 13 hours work. And generally for local weddings, mostly I am there for 6 to 7 hours on a wedding day. Again, it's down to experience. I used to go really early, but there's no need for me to go really early. So generally it's about 6 or 7 hours on the wedding day. And then the editing time afterwards is roughly 3 hours from start to finish. And I would say that's about 45 minutes of culling, and then 2 to 2.5 hours, sometimes maybe less, editing the photographs. So I'll put my own preset on them and then edit them fairly quickly. So for me, like, time's valuable. If you're shooting 60, 70 weddings a year, you don't want to be spending 8, 9, 10 hours editing on a wedding. Otherwise, you'll be hating your job after a few months. So yeah, get it done.
Brilliant, perfect. I think that's all the Q&A that we've got time for tonight. Again, Terry Donnelly is with us on the 28th, I think it was, Tuesday 28th at 7 p.m. Yep. So if you've got any questions that have been missed tonight, then please do tune into that one and ask them again, and we'll try and get as many Q&As answered within that session as well. But again, I would like to thank both yourself, Stephen and Mark, again for organising this webinar and for coming to our members to give these fantastic webinars. I can see by the comments that people have really found this beneficial and a really interesting night. So please do give it a thumbs up, hit the like button on as you're exiting the webinar, and put a nice little comment in there so Mark and Stephen can see that you've enjoyed the webinar tonight. So thank you very much for joining us, guys. It's been another fantastic evening, and I'm looking forward to the next one already. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Colin. Thanks, Stephen.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Enjoy it. Thank you.
Yeah.